Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's presentation. Thank you to the team here for agreeing to present and all their hard work on putting together this plan. We have approved budget from the Board of Managers. And before I get started, I just wanted to answer a question that we're getting frequently in the community, which is what happens when we all move over to Swirlds Labs. And the answer is that what you see today is our focus for 2022, regardless of the company we're working for. So today, we all work at Hedera. In the future, when we move, maybe in a couple of months' time or so, we will be working for Hedera, but at Swirlds Labs, but really nothing else changes. So the plan you see today is the plan that we are already executing on. So what are the objectives for this year in marketing? So we have this amazing technology. We brought Smart Contracts 2.0 to market recently. And we really want to position Hedera as the best choice for both new developers coming to Web3 for the first time and for existing developers who may be on a different network today, such as Ethereum. We are positioned as an enterprise-grade public ledger, so we want to continue ramping up the awareness around that offering and positioning ourselves within the enterprise. And of course, with the robust roadmap this year from our product and engineering teams, we will support all of the launches and HIP process. So our budget for this year, again, this just got approved by the Board of Managers at Hedera, is $11.6 million. And throughout this presentation, you're going to see how we are going to deploy those dollars for maximum impact in the market. What is it that we actually market? This is a snapshot of the architecture, the services, the use cases, the council, and our different audiences. It's good to think of this as blanketing the whole market with both Hedera marketing and HBAR Foundation marketing. And so with that, I am going to hand it over to Gerig Kunz, who's going to talk about our developer GTM. Thank you, Gerig.
Thanks, Christian. Good stuff there, and looking ahead to the exciting year ahead. When it comes to our developer go-to-market, really this year is a year of getting as many developers excited about Web3 and Hedera as possible. The motivation for really doing is that we're all kind of playing this multiplayer development game right now, and we need as many individual developers as possible, getting excited about our technology and what's possible with it, picking up these new primitives and building new applications and bringing them to market. So a lot of what we do within developer relations and developer marketing is educating people to get through into this funnel and then finding their way and enabling them to be successful through it in their own pathways. Thank you, Andrew. So when we think about this, Hedera has historically been really good at building these permissioned applications. These are typically business-to-business networks, and what we're seeing with companies like Acor, ServiceNow, even drone providers. And when we think about what's next for Hedera and where the kind of developer excitement is headed, it's really in this permissionless space. So the ability for anyone to kind of pick up and play with these Lego bricks, as they might be called in DeFi or NFTs, and create applications and ecosystems around these that everyone can participate in. So this is really where our next trajectory is and what I'm excited for us to start to encourage the building of. You can take an example from Ethereum and kind of see what this might look like, where we have this bottom layer one. In this case, it's Ethereum within this NFT ecosystem. There's different protocols that support that and application level clients to interact with these protocols and ultimately that layer one. We'd still like to apply the same model just in different ways on Hedera as well. And so this is the kind of mental model switch and what we're excited to be building on Hedera this year. So our goal is really to get all roads to lead to Hedera. That's both for new to blockchain, crypto, and Web3 developers and those converting from other smart contract platforms and networks. We'll have supporting campaigns and enablement materials for both of these audiences. And, in my view, at least, I think it makes sense to start to build, application level clients for those new to the space. It's a little bit more familiar, a little bit friendlier for those, maybe just a full stack developer as an example. For those that are coming from other networks, that's really where the smart contract protocol is going to come into play, and the ability for them to deploy these smart contracts on Hedera and those application clients to consume and take advantage of what that offering is, all coming down to that Hedera layer 1 base layer technology. And so throughout this, just to give you an idea of how we kind of think about this and what our approach is, following through a standard marketing funnel to enable them. This goes from awareness, consideration, decision, and success, and really not focused on too many details here, but at a high level, pushing people with their job to be done or solve a problem or make money, understanding that Hedera is a really good solution for doing so, and hopefully accelerating their timeline in order to be successful and decide, oh, I do want to build on Hedera. This is a really exciting technology. That's a great fit for my use case, and on down to success. Success can come in a number of ways. Ultimately, I think it's them achieving their mission and being an active participating member of the community, either as a smart contract deployed on the network that we can all use, or perhaps contributing to some of the open source repos that we have. So this is kind of the make and the model that we're looking at for both of these types of campaigns that we'll bring to the market. And when we think about the importance of this, for a developer flywheel, and specifically on the permissionless public ledger side of the world and applications, what we see is a new developer wanting to use a public ledger for X. For instance, to create an NFT, a newcomer learns that new technology and starts building. And once the developer is successful in using Hedera, they start to contribute value back to that ecosystem. That could be the NFT itself, or maybe a protocol to lend an NFT in a game. But that in turn allows a new developer to come along and take advantage of that same functionality and framework and start to extend what's possible on Hedera. And so unlocking this is really what we need to do and accomplish this year, and make it easier and better to consistently improve the offering that Hedera has for that individual developer as a primary goal and initiative for us in our team. And I believe with that, I'll hand it over to Brady.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us today. Excited to talk a little bit about startup organizations with you. As an initiative for Hedera with regards to startups, our goal is to foster awareness of Hedera within the startup community and grow adoption of Hedera within those startup organizations. So to give you a little bit of background, as Hedera has progressed as a marketing organization, and as we now have the amount of budget that Christian had described, initially we were sort of doing opportunistic inbound BD engagement, case studies, webinars, SEO related activities, and this is sort of our iceberg. And we were doing those things in the past 2 years in this opportunistic way based on the amount of funds that we had as a marketing organization. With our transition over to Swirlds Labs and with the additional budget that we have, everything under the top of the iceberg is the opportunity that we have as a marketing team to be able to go after larger campaigns, much more advertising, paid media, more competitive comparisons, and greater activity to target both developers and startup organizations. So in the same vein as our developer flywheel, we have a startup organization champion flywheel. And in working in other open source organizations in the past, such as DataStax with the distributed database Cassandra community, typically this flywheel starts out with promoting champion content to drive awareness to newcomers. Champions are people within a startup organization that are very fond of the technology, in this case, Hedera and Hedera's associated services. So they like to talk about what it is that they're building, why they're building it, why they chose Hedera. And they act as a voice for the Hedera ecosystem. Newcomers to the ecosystem, typically other founders or technical individuals, they'll come and they'll learn from those individuals through their blog postings, through their videos, and they'll start to build on Hedera as well. And a lot of this is sort of like digital word of mouth. The newcomer sometimes becomes a champion, and Hedera, as a marketing organization, we would incentivize that champion to get more involved in the community. We want to hook them up with swag, give them opportunities to become famous or engage with other startup and developer communities. And then that champion evangelizes Hedera and helps with developing content and pushes the flywheel forward even further. So as part of our content goals, this is a very high-level overview of looking at the funnel of a startup organization. At Hedera, we are going from awareness to discovery to someone learning to choosing Hedera, and then to what we would consider a purchasing moment. Granted, there's no contracts that some organization would sign to use Hedera. They would just go and purchase cryptocurrency from an exchange and start building. They don't even need to let us know about what it is that they're doing. It's a public network. But throughout each of these stages, there's different types of content that we want to publish to allow someone to continue and progress along their path towards being able to make this purchase and deploy an application on the mainnet in production, start processing transactions, and provide value to the ecosystem. And with that, I'm going to pass things over to Andrew, who's going to be talking about demand generation, events, and community goals. Andrew and Lena Tran as well.
Oh, thanks, Brady.
Yep.
Hey, everyone. I don't think I've actually talked on a public forum. So I'm Andrew. I head up demand gen and marketing ops here at Hedera, and I focus on running the campaigns that Garrick and Brady just run through. So our goal for this year is to generate 250,000 leads. That'll come through different engagements. Engagements here, we have around 7 million, but that's based on different channels. So engagements on this metric is different clicks on ads, people reaching out at a conference, the amount of people we can reach at a conference, and it could be activities on different sites like GitHub. People that are following different repos can count as engagements. From those engagements, we want 250,000 leads for the year. And eventually we want to get those leads into testnet accounts. And so we want to nurture those leads, make sure we're finding the right audience, and then making sure they're creating testnet accounts. And so based off of what Brady and Garrick said, here's kind of a high overview calendar of what we're looking to do this year. We're already well underway in Q1 with our smart contracts campaign. We just had East Denver. Lena will talk about the hackathons we're having coming up soon, as well as other events we'll be at. But I wanted to go over a few campaigns that we'll be doing. First is our evergreen campaigns. So we're looking to build out our content library by educating the broader market on a few things. So these are high-level definitions of Web3. We'll have specific Hedera branding, Hedera specific campaigns around what is ABFT, things like that, as well as we'll do some evergreen campaigns around specific comparison and competitive analysis against your other layer ones. We're also looking to do other quarterly thematic campaigns based on use cases. This will revolve around certain use cases like NFTs, DeFi, payments, sustainability. And those will, as we build that content out, will actually be evergreen campaigns as well. And so we're looking to build out this content we'll promote them and advertise them on multiple platforms, trying to target these personas. And so as we build out that content, it'll be promoted on things like we'll do banner ads on Stack Overflow. We'll do all these different third-party sponsorships around newsletters, blogs and podcasts. And then we'll also be doing some third-party webinars, looking to do webinars with our governing council members and help promote their use cases. And then next slide. And then one thing I do want to go into is kind of a whole nother side on the enterprise side, which is account-based marketing. In your traditional demand gen, you really focus on its inbound funnel where you're trying to cast this big net and you kind of filter through finding the right people and say, hey, this is a developer in a startup audience. Okay, let's bring them down the funnel. On an account-based model, you're very much targeting, trying to find the right accounts, find the right people inside of those accounts and provide personalized content. So we'll be building out this account-based marketing along with our traditional demand gen funnel as a two-pronged approach between casting a wide net for developers, as well as finding the right startups and enterprise that we'll go after directly. And that will lead to Lena.
Cool. Thanks, Andrew. Hey, everybody. You may know me as a person who does swag, but I also manage our events that we do and any events we sponsor. So in 2022, we are very excited to be going all in on events, helping us raise awareness and do a lot more at events, just like you saw we did at ETH Denver this past month. Cool. So one of the things we're very excited about is our first hackathon this year. So those of you who have been around in the community for a while know that we typically do one big global hackathon a year. And so this year, our very first one will be Hedera 22, which is focused on our smart contracts service. So this hackathon, we are trying to get as many developers as possible using the smart contract service, getting them to play around with it and build applications. This hackathon will start March 31st and will be 6 weeks long and end on May 16th. We're also doing a number of events ourselves to help enable developers. So outside of the hackathon and third-party events, we are hosting workshops we like to call DAP Days. DAP Days are geared to getting developers either new to Hedera or new to Web3 in general, kind of educated and building on Hedera. So during these workshops, our developer evangelists will guide people on how to get started with smart contracts on Hedera and help them build something meaningful where once they leave, they can then continue to build on what they've learned in the hackathon or start net new projects with our help. And third-party events. So there's a lot of events across different industries and verticals that we will be looking to sponsor and have a big presence at. So things like ETH Denver, Consensus, Mainnet, as well as other events outside of our industry, such as Web2 developer events like QCon, Google Next, Microsoft Builds, and events in other industries such as payments like Money 2020, et cetera.
And Lena and I should apologize about the barking dogs upstairs. They are super annoying.
Cool. And next is Zenobia.
All right. Hey, everyone. Hope everybody is doing well. So we're going to spend some time talking about PR, public relations, and analyst relations as well. And a little bit different from what you hear with the rest of the marketing plan, PR and AR are one area where we do not control the outcome. For those of you who've joined us on Spaces, you've heard me talk about the fact that we have a shifting media landscape. We have fewer and fewer media, and there are more companies and dollars chasing those media. So in light of that, how do we make sure that we continue to stand out? How do we make sure that Hedera's messaging continues to get out there? And how do we, control a little bit more our voice and the kinds of content that we are putting out there in the face of, some of this very large funding? So I think you've seen, if you don't mind jumping next slide, you've seen folks like even, Coinbase and Andreessen Horowitz say, hey, we need to control the narrative. We feel the same, but we feel like we have even more strengths to talk about and to parlay. And so you will see us owning the space and developing content here that we then can share either with existing publications or potentially new publications or in our own controlled areas, so that people have all the information that they need to make educated decisions, and also to explain the differences and understand the differences. This is such a technology rich and deep content area that we need to make sure that people are it's not the difference between, do you like this light bulb and do you like that light bulb? There are lots of nuances that we want to make sure that we are educating the market on. And we're going to do that through thought leadership, both ones that we own as well as ones that we commission from third parties. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. So sorry, just in terms of, you will see us reaching out, you will see us trying to grow the team in terms of people who can write and can also deliver multimedia content that's supporting our goals. And then you'll also see us engaged with third parties to do some quantitative and unbiased research where we already know that Hedera stands out and can hold their own against anyone else. And we want to make sure that that word is widely spread.
Thank you very much, Zenobia. And thank you everyone for tuning in and spending some time with us today. We really appreciate all of the support, and we look forward to engaging with you and reporting back against our metrics later on in the year. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. And thank you, team, for presenting today.